Alright, hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. G, and today we are going to talk about manipulating typography in graphic design. Manipulating typography is really important in graphic design, so we need to be absolutely typography ninjas. So we're going to play with some different typography today. The typography we are going to play with is this file here, and we're going to find this file inside of our lesson, inside of classwork, this manipulating typography. So if we click on that, that'll open that. So if we click on this guy here, that opens that there. Now we need to download this file. This is a PDF file that we can open up in Illustrator. So we're going to click on here and we're going to say open a new window, and then you'll get the download icon right there. Go ahead and click that and download to your computer. I'll go ahead and close that because I've already done that. Before we get there though, we need to get this file. I want you to go ahead and click on this file here. It's a Word document here, or a Google document rather. Okay, we need to install some fonts that are on this program. Okay, so follow the link, download to your computer, double click on the zip file to open that, and then you're going to look for either the OTF or TTF file. Okay, when prompted by Font Book program, that's the program on your computer that installs fonts into your computer. A font is just a type of characters that make up a set of typography, right? So these are the different ones, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to click on Hippie Movement. There's a link. I click on that. That'll pop me over here, and I'll say here, and we're on defont.com, which is a safe place to get fonts. Not all sites are safe. Some of them are trying to shop for you. Some have malware, so make sure you're careful where you go. But downloads, and then that'll download. Now all my downloads, in my download, I just have a folder called fonts, and that's where I put all my fonts. I'll click that, click save, and then you'll say save. I'm replacing because I've already got it installed. As soon as you do that, you're going to get this zip folder. I click on that zip folder. That's going to open this up. Now again, inside of that folder, we are looking for either OTF or TTF. This one has OTF, so I'm going to double click on that. That'll bring up this little queue here. Now if you hadn't installed it before, it would say install right here. I've already got mine, so it's asking it, do I want to replace it? I don't, so I'm just going to leave that be, and that's how you would do that. Let's do that one more time. You can close all these guys back up after you get that, okay? So I'm going to go back to Google Classroom. Got to get back over here to Google Classroom, okay? On my folder, I'm going to go to the next one, and this one's called Arf Mooch Chicken Cheese. So I click on that link there. It's going to take me to the website where it is. There's it is right there. It'll say download. I click on the download button. I'm going to put that in my fonts folder inside of my downloads. I'll click save. That's going to open up here. I'm going to grab this, or you can go down here to my downloads too, my downloads box if you want. I'm just going to click it up here. I want to unzip that file by clicking on it. That opens up the folder. In there, I'm looking for the OTF or the TTF file. This one has TTF. Double click on it. That's going to bring up the install log. And again, I've already installed this, so I'm not going to replace it, but you would install it, and that's all you need to do. Then it will install on your computer in your font book and have it available to all programs in your computer that use fonts. All right, now that we've got that, we've got our file open here in Illustrator. I'm going to go ahead and start manipulating this type. Now we want to go and recreate each of these looks here on here, okay? So the first one here, okay, I got my layers panel over here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down a little bit here, okay? On my layers panel here, I have all the layers for this, and you can see I can open these up so I can kind of see how these were all built, right? So if I can't figure one out, I can always open one of these up here and see it, okay? I'm going to go ahead and close all these right now. I'm going to go ahead and lock that, and I'm going to make a new layer, okay? I'm going to go ahead and say save, so I'm going to go to File and go to Save, and I already got this saved, but you would go in here and you would save this to your Google Cookie Fingers file where you're going to save everything. But what I want to do is I want to start doing this. So I'm going to go and identify the things I see first, okay? Well, first I see a bubble here, okay? I see a red bubble. So I'm going to go ahead and get my Shapes tool, and I'm going to grab my Ellipse tool, and I'm going to start by just making a bubble here, okay? Now in my appearance here, I've got my fill and my stroke. Right now I have a fill of white and a black outline. I'm going to go ahead and fill that, and I want to fill it with red. Now I could go and just select the red, which I know it is. If that's a good match, that looks like it is, I can do that, or I could always use my eyedropper tool and sample that color right there as well, okay? Now this doesn't have a stroke on it, so I'm going to go in my appearance panel and just close out that. If If you don't see your appearance panel, remember you can just go up here to Window and make sure you have your control bar selected and Appearance. I like to have those open all the time as well. And I'm also going to go up here and open up my color wheel. And I'll go ahead and bring this down here and we'll put that guy right there. And I also like to have my Pathfinder open as well. Pathfinder. And we'll put that guy over here as well. Okay, so I've got this. So I've got my main direction and my sub-selection tool. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and manipulate this shape a little bit to try and, I can zoom in here a little bit, to mimic what I've got over here, right? So I'm going to bring my shape over here, and I want to try to make this kind of kidney bean shape. So I'm going to click and release on individual paths here, and I'm just going to kind of pull it until it looks like what I want there, and that looks pretty close to what I got there. Okay, I can even pull these guys out a little bit there like that. I'm pretty happy with that shape right there. Now I'm going to get my typography tool. Okay, now this one here is, my type is not Myriad Pro, but this is the hippie movement, H-I-P-P. So I'm looking for hippie movement. So I'm going to change to hippie movement, and then I'm going to type the word drip, and this is in all lowercase. So I type drip, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to expand it up. Okay, now it looks like it's kind of squished a little bit. I'm just going to kind of bring it in like that. Okay, I need to get it into the right color, so I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to go to my color, and I'm going to fill it with this green here. My light just went off. Hello, light. And then I've got that color in there. Okay. Alright, now I've got like this 3D effect. To do that, we're going to go up here, that's an effect, so we're going to go up to Effects, and we're going to go up here in Effects, and in Effects, I'm going to get my main selection tool, I want to get on my right layer here. I've got Effect, and I've got 3D materials here. Right here, my first choice is Extrude and Bevel, and that is how, it's going to open up a new window here. And that is going to give me this effect here. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and again I'm going to bring these over this way. Click on this, and you can see I can see what I need. And when I get on my extrude and bevel here, and I get my guy here, need to select just my word. And I've got some sliders here, and they do different things. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get my depth about right. That looks about right there. Okay. And then I'm going to get my direct selection tool. And once I get my, not my direct selection, but my main selection tool, I got this little arrow here, and it kind of can turn it around. I can go up and down and twist, and each one is going to kind of control a different axis, A-X-I-S there, where I can kind of turn this a little bit, and if I click on the outside ring, I can rotate it a little bit there. Okay, and I'm going to play with that until I get to where I think I'm in the right place there. Okay, now my lighting, I can also change my lighting. Looks like I've got a little extreme on my lighting. I'm going to diffuse that lighting a little bit, and I'm going to bring it over. I can just grab right here, and you can see I can kind of bring that lighting over this way a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of drop it right about there. That's about where I want it to be. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go back to Materials and Object. I'm going to just rotate up just a little bit. I'm going to grab this guy, that one, about like that, and just kind of play with it until you're happy with what you got and get it to where it resembles that 3D effect. Okay, that's great. Once you're done with that, go ahead and lock that one. We're going to go ahead and make another new layer. This one here is ARF Mooch is the typography, so I'm going to go ahead and get my typography, and I am going to type drip, all in caps this time. Okay, I'm going to get my letter. I'm going to hold down Shift so I don't, oop, I forgot to change my font. And again, this is the ARF, this Afro Mooch, and the color that I want it to be is going to be a red color right here. So I make it that red color. Okay. Now I'm going to use my appearance panel, because when I look at this, Go ahead and get my word here. I'm going to bring it up here, hold down shift, and I'm going to drag this out just a little bit. So I've got this right here. All right. Now what I see is I have strokes. They're on the outside. I have a green stroke and I have a yellow stroke. Okay. So I'm going to start with making a new stroke. So in my appearance panel, I have that object selected. Okay. I'm going to select right down here. I can add a new fill or I can add a new stroke. I want to click Add New Stroke. Okay. The stroke I'm going to make, I'm going to add the yellow first. Okay, you can see that, and I can push the word stroke here. I want this on the outside, so I'll put it on the outside, and then I'm going to make this about 10 points. Okay, that sounds maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'll make it a little bit smaller, something like that. I like that right there. Okay, now I know it's overlapping a little bit. We're going to fix that here in a second. Okay, now I'm going to make another stroke. I can add another one. I'm going to add another stroke. Okay, now it automatically puts it above it here, so it's stacked just like your layers there in Photoshop or over here in Illustrator. So the one on top is going to be seen. Okay, so this one we're going to change the color to this green here, this kind of lime green. Okay, and I'm going to make it smaller, and you'll see I can see it there, so I'm going to make this about 4 points, and I'm going to zoom in so we can kind of see what we're doing. Okay, so now I've got that effect. Okay, but now my fill is being covered up, and you can see where it overlaps. Okay, so all I need to do is take this fill, and if I drag it to the top, well, it's not going to. Let's see if it's going to let me do this here. If it's going to give me fits here. Okay. Yep, nope, it's not going to let me do it. Okay, so I'm going to turn that one off, and I'm actually just going to throw that one away, and I'm going to say give me a new fill, and my new fill is going to be red. Now we had problems with this, so I don't know if this is going to work or not. Looks like it's not going to let me do it. I've got like a glitch. Now some fonts are going to give you fits, but we should be able to drag that up to the top or drag this down to the bottom in order to do that, to make that fill up on top. There's a glitch in this guy, so instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to do a workaround here, and what I'm going to do is I am going to just pull this apart a little bit until those separate just a little bit. And I've got that kind of as a workaround. Okay, now that does not fix that, obviously, but what I could also do is I could just take and get my typography tool, and I could type DRIP again, and I could make the fill red, and I could put over top of it. And then I could put it over top of this as a layer on top of that and kind of line that up like that, and I would have a similar. Now I'm going to have to play with this a little bit to get it exactly where I want, but that's going to give me a similar look for that. Okay, then I would make my outside shape, and I'm going to do that by, I'm just going to take my pen tool here, and I'm going to go, and my pen tool, I'm going to go ahead and trace this shape here, and this is kind of an organic shape here, so I'm going to just kind of play around here a little bit, going around here. And again, I'm just pulling my points and going around. If I'm a little bit off, I'm not going to really be too upset because I can always go and rearrange this and pull it around. If you get to a place where you can't see, I can always go over here to my fill and just turn that off, and then I can go on my merry way here, pulling that around, and then we always want to close our shape. Okay, now if you have any parts that are a little off, I can always go here, and remember you can adjust anything and kind of pull it to where you want it if you're a little bit off on any of your shapes, right? So I'm a little off on here, so I'm just going to kind of pull this around a little bit, and I can adjust all those guys like that. Okay, so that's how you would do that. And then once you're finished adjusting your shapes, you would take your move tool, you would go ahead and take your fill, turn your fill back on, get the color that you want for that color, and then come on, move your shape over here, and then simply pull it underneath of your typography to have that look. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close that one. We're going to lock that one. We're going to go ahead and make a new layer. Now we're doing this last one right here. So we're going to do drip, and I see this one right here. And I forgot what font that is. I'm going to have to go back and look at it real quick here. Let's see. Maybe I've got it in my recent ones here. Amity Jack. I'm not sure what that one is. Street Cred. No, it's not. Gotta jump over here to my Google Classroom real quick and look at that here. So on that document, Blenny Black, that's what that one is. Okay, so we're going to go over to back to Illustrator. We're going to see if I have BLENN, Blenny Black, right there. Turn off my caps lock. I'm going to type DRIP, this time all lowercase. Again, I'm going to hold down shift and pull it open until it looks about the same there. I've got that. That looks great. Okay. Now I see I've got blue. Again, I'm going to use my eyedropper tool, and I'm just going to grab that blue, and then I'm going to make a copy. I can either copy and paste, or I can get my move tool, hold down my option key, click and drag it out. And then I've got this one, and I want to get my eyedropper tool again, and I'm going to make one purple. Okay, so I got one purple and one that is blue. Okay, now let's click on this one that is blue here first. Okay, I see a stroke, so I'm going to go to appearance. I'm going to say new stroke. Stroke I want is not black, but it is this green color, so I will click that, and it looks like the stroke is on the middle of it, and I've already got it set on the middle there, so I'll go ahead and do that, and I'm just going to increase the size until it looks about the same. Okay, make my guy just a little bit bigger here. Looks like I'm a little too big here. Let's go about 4. Looks like about right there. Looks about right. So I get that. So that part's done. That was pretty easy. Now I've got to get this, and I need to warp it is what it's called. Okay, so if I go here, I've got some options, and I need to get it here, and once I grab it, I have the option up here to make a warp. Now I can make a warp with the warp tool or the mesh tool. The mesh tool is going to put a grid on it, okay, but today we're going to use make with warp. So I'm just going to click this little kind of bent cage here, and it gives me these options. You might remember this from Photoshop, and I'm going to go ahead and select flag, and that's going to give me that option, and I can go here, it's at 50%, and if I move it, it's going to arrange it there. And I can also just type the number 50 in there and hit return, and then I've got that. Okay, now that looks about right. I'm going to go ahead and position this guy on here. Okay, and I need to again arrange this so that one is underneath the other. That looks pretty good. I might need to adjust this just a little bit. I'm going to pull it out just a bit there, and I think I might stretch it down just a little bit. Looks like he's a little bit stretched. Okay, and then if I need to go back and adjust anything, I can do that. And if I need to adjust my envelope warp here, I would go up here and select it, and I'd get my sub selection tool. I gotta select it, there it is. And up here where I would go my main selection, okay, and I would adjust it with my sliders here, and you can see I can grab these guys here, and I can also grab them with my click and release, and you can pull and push those. Okay, all right, so we'll call that one pretty much done. We're going to click lock there. We're going to make another new file. We're going to go to the drip file here. The drip file, I'm going to make a circle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make a circle on my new layer. I'm going to hold down shift. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and use the eyedropper tool one more time. I'm going to click on cancel eyedropper, and I'm going to grab this, and you see it copied both the stroke and the outline. That's very helpful. Okay, I'm going to get my typography tool. Okay, this one's called Amity Jack, so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to get my type tool, and come on, and I'm going to type here, and this one is Amity, A-M-I, Amity Jack, okay, and we're going to be all in caps, and we're going to type in purple this time, and I want to be A-M-I, D-R-I-P, okay, get my move tool, I'm going to hold down shift, I'm going to enlarge that till it feels about the same size. Again, I can put it right next to here and kind of get it pretty darn exact. That feels good. Put it in there. Okay, and then I'm going to get my eyedropper tool, grab that purple. I've got it. Okay, now to make my drips on here, and I'm not going to do all these, but I'm going to show you how to do a few of them. Okay, so the way I do it, you have two options. So I could go in here and I could click my word. Okay, I select my word. Now if I wanted to adjust it, right, and if I look on here, if I had points, I could just pull points down and make those. Okay, but on my word, when I get my sub-selection tool, I don't have any points to pull because it's typography and a shape, not a actual, whoa, just pull me over here. It is typography and it's not a shape, so it's treating it like typography, right? So I can type on it, I can change the words, I can change the fonts. As long as it's typography, I don't have points. But there is a way that I can change it to a shape. And to do that, I'm going to go to File, I'll go up here and I'm going to Object, and I'm going to click Expand. Okay, once I do that, it's going to say, do you want to spin it into an object and give it a fill? And I'm going to say, okie dokie. Then you'll see I've got points. Now that I've got points, I can click and release these, and I can pull these out, right? So Command Z. I'm going to go in here. So it looks like I need to have two drips on this one down here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it looks like I got my drips here. Okay. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to get my pen tool. And I'm just going to add myself. You see, I've got it selected, and I'm just going to add some points. You see that little plus sign just says add some points. If I want to take a point away, I just click it again with the minus sign, and it takes it away. Okay. Now that I've got a few points, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take like this middle one. I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to pull this one down. Okay. Now that I pull those down, I'm going to go ahead and round them off there. I'm going to click and release this one. I'm going to round this one off. Okay. Now I'm going to double click on this just to isolate it here. Lock my layer back here. Okay. I'm going to grab these and I am going to pull them down. Okay. Now I'm going to go up here, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and round this out a little bit to give me some extra points to play with, and I'll round those out. So now I have those points that I can play around with and move about. Right? I'm going to grab these and I'm going to kind of, Command Z, and slide them. You dirty bug. I just want these points. There we go, and I'll kind of pull those to where I want. Okay, and if I want to add another point on here, so I'm going to add a point there, and I'll add a point here. And I'm going to adjust these guys in just a little bit like that, and I'll go ahead and round them out so I got some curve to it. Take this guy, I'm going to push him in, I'm going to do the same thing, round them out. Okay, and I'll play with that until I get the drip that I want. Okay, the other way that you could do it is if I went in here and I simply drew a drip in here, right? So if I went in here and I went ahead and drew a drip like so, came here, that would work as well, because once I click off of it, it looks like it's part of this letter. So either one of those options are going to fix you for that. So that's how you would do the rest of the letters as well, and just add the drips as you want and just kind of touch them up if you think something's a little off. Remember, you can always go in and you can fix your shapes and adjust them a little bit until you get your drip exactly how you want it to look. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and we are going to go ahead and lock that one, and we're going to move on, and we're going to look at our last one here. which is this guy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type drip again on a new layer, and it is all lowercase on this one, and this one is, I believe, called Street Cred. Street Cred. There we go. Okay, I got caps lock on now. Let me do that again. DRIP. There we go. Okay. Again, I'm going to get my eyedropper tool. I'm going to select that color. I'm going to get my move tool, and I'm going to pull this out. Hold shift so I don't distort it. Grab my eyedropper tool because Command Z. Grab my eyedropper tool, and I want that color. Now I've got that color. I'm going to get here. Everything looks good. Okay. Now what I see, I've got like a shadow, a blur down here. Okay. So I'm going to go and I'm going to first I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to hold down Option and I'm going to click and drag, make that copy. Okay. Now this back one, I'm not sure how this was made, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to change it to a black. Okay. Now this is possible one way to do it. Okay. So I'm not sure exactly how this one was made, but we're going to take a couple looks at it. Okay, so first we're going to click on this one. We're just going to set this one aside for right now. Okay, so we're going to go to Effects, and somewhere in here we have a drop gallery, or a drop shadow. Okay, so I can't remember exactly where it is. There it is on Stylize, and I got a drop shadow. Okay, and that's going to give it there. Now on here I can click and I can move that drop shadow to where I want. Okay, but that looks like it's kind of got a little bit of a yellow to it as well. So I might try to do something else, right? So I've got that there. So I got that drop shadow, and then it says mode. I'll say it in blur. And if you blur it, you see I can kind of get there, and it brings that out like that. Okay, so that's one way I could do that. Okay, so it gives it that drop shadow. I could also, and I say okay. Okay, now I could also do the same thing by coming to this, and let's go here and go in Effect, and let's see if I've got, yeah. So to do some of these on here, I'm gonna have to select it, Effect, and stylize, and let's go for an outer glow. It looks like outer glow might be on there as well. Okay, now the color I want, I'm going to select a yellow because it looks yellow to me, so I'm going to drink a yellow. I'm going to say okay. Now I've got kind of this yellow under here. Okay, so in this case I'm going to go ahead and stack these guys up. I'm going to say okay on here. So I've got this outer glow and I got inner glow. So I'm going to line those guys up, and then I'm going to pull my outer glow underneath that and see how that looks. It looks pretty good. It looks like I'm getting a pretty good way there. Okay. Now my drop shadow on there, I might want to play with that a little bit and make it a little bit darker, but you can see how we get those effects on there. Okay. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and just lock that. We're going to hit Command 0, and we're going to go ahead and save our progress on here. Okay. Now on here, like I said, we're going to try and get these as close as we can. So take your time. Once you're all done with your project and you've got all of your things done, I want you to go to File, and I want you to go, let me get back into Illustrator. I want you to go to File, and you're going to go to Export. You want to go to Export, Export As, and a PNG is fine for this, and that will go ahead. So we're just going to go here and change it to a PNG, and you'll export that. You want to put that in your Google Drive, in your My Drive, and put that into your Cookie Fingers folder, and then turn it into Google Classroom. Okay? All right. If you have any questions, send me an email. If you need more time, ask for an extension, and I will see you later. Stay creative, and I will see you in class soon.